Now, tributes and messages of goodwill continue to stream in as Kenyans mourn the sudden death of former Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha, a man known to be a no-nonsense defender of the education sector, a champion of children's rights to education who jealously pushed for the 100% transition from primary school to secondary school. Chimtai Goin looks at one of Magoha's key success stories, the implementation of the competence-based curriculum, or CBC.
Albert Magoha, often referred to himself as Magoha, son of Magoha. He served as the Kenya National Examinations Council chairman from 2016 to 2019, and that year, the institution witnessed drastic changes. The national examinations that year setting a record. There were no incidents of cheating. Cartels within NEC and who would collude with schools to steal exams had been struck out, raising the credibility of the national examinations by greatly reducing the numerous and commonplace A-grade results.
If we find out that there is early exposure, whether that school is in my home area and whether my grandchild is there, hiyo mtihani inaishia hapo.
I, George Albert Omore Magoha.
His stellar performance at NEC earned him a spot in retired President Uhuru Kenyatta's government as Education Cabinet Secretary. Here, he was tasked with the biggest responsibility at that time, overseeing transition from the 844 system of education to the competency-based curriculum CBC, an assignment he carried out with passion despite many questions on whether the country was ready. Magoha, while putting up a case for CBC, which became his pet subject, said the new curriculum was best placed to help students respond and tackle modern-day problems and opportunities. Mutheu Kasanga, former chair of the Kenya Private Schools Association and who served with Magoha at the CBC task force, terms him a diligent person.
One of the things that first astounded all of us was how he reached out to everybody. If you worked in education, he wanted to meet you. And then he went down to the classrooms to meet the children and to understand what basic education looks like. I think there are still photos in the circulating about how you'd go and just sit in the back of a class just to see and interact with teachers, students, and understand how basic education works.
When the curriculum faced teething problems, he gracefully managed to quell the tension amid loud calls for a return to the 844 system. At one time, he likened the CBC curriculum to a premature baby whose growth and survival lay in an incubator.
And our 100% transition policy is a policy that must be upheld, no matter which curriculum we are doing. What we found on the ground was a lot of the classes were already in use by 844, and that we must do more to build up the infrastructure of our public school system. And this is something the president has actually sort of put a lot of emphasis on, public education. And the report of the Working Party will, of course, deal with all these issues.
At the height of the campaigns in 2022, Magoha seemed to be the only cabinet secretary still carrying out his duties as he moved to implement the presidential directive to construct 10,000 classrooms that would be the pioneer class transitioning to junior secondary school. Professor Magoha literally visited almost every part of the republic to monitor the progress of the construction of the classrooms. His undying passion for Kenyan children was palpable. He championed the 100% transition from primary school to secondary school and could be seen touring homes, even in the informal settlements, to mop up pupils who had not reported to school.
I suppose his own background as somebody who didn't come from a wealthy background and had to be helped along the education to get where he was perhaps one of the things that was at the back of his mind, because he really focused on the child, and that is the his legacy, his focus on the Kenyan child.
And though the fifth administration faced the pressure to scrap CBC, President William Ruto opted to form a task force to review the curriculum with the aim of improving it.
I want to thank His Excellency the President, William Samoei Arap Ruto, for having decided that CBC is not going anywhere and that it is going to be revised and looked into. That is an intellectual talking. Because you know as well as I do that there is nothing perfect.
His demise leaves a gap in many spheres.
The student who was sent to a day school in Kisii, tunaweka Olympic. I'm scanning and sending you the documents. Instruct the head, whoever is heading, to create space for this child.
But his legacy lies in the transformational leadership of the education sector and specifically facilitating the competency-based curriculum. Chemutai Goin, Citizen TV.
All right, Goin.